it's no secret my favorite thing on this show is going through reports, because I have so much respect for the people who take the time to share and publish reports on data in Nigeria. Access to finance goes beyond opening a bank account, right? 64.9 million Nigerians have a BVN, despite about 300 million existing bank accounts. We'll talk about that disparity. 1 in 5 people still walk 30 minutes or more to reach a banking agent, and point of sale proximity doesn't always mean point of sale usage. All these points coming from a new Access to Finance report from Intelpoint in partnership with Finance in Africa. We're very happy to have Yinka Awosanya, research lead at Intelpoint, joining us to discuss. Yinka, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Well done. My first question every time, this is standard. Tell us what it took to put this report together, the surveys, how long it took. Tell us the work you put into this thing.
So in 2023, we did a similar report, Nigerian Financial Service Market Report. So now 2 years down the line, so what has changed?
Right.
So let's go back to the street and ask. So we just come up with a survey, do all 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, try and get the feel of people and all that. So and then we partner with Finance in Africa, a sister company, and then just try and put this together and present the current status of the
Well done.
of the industry.
You talk to people, you gather their answers, you tabulate them, you got to put graphics, illustrations, and so on and so forth. Let's get into it. Now, this first, your key figures, honestly, we could spend the rest of the segment on this, all right? It's just lovely. The numbers tell everything. My first question to you is this. So, top left, estimated population, 227 million, right? You've got a whole lot of numbers here, but right below that, 1.9 million agency banking outlets, that's POS agents. Now, if we're talking access to finance, Yinka, should that POS number be much, much higher? What's your take there?
So the POS, it's okay like that and it's still growing.
Yeah.
I believe it's almost close to the target of SANEF for it to across the country. Just that there is still the fact that they are still mostly concentrated in the urban areas and not in the but then as far as it's concerned right now, yes, this will work, but then the new ones that are coming up should focus more on the rural area rather than the cities and
so on. Yeah. All right, still there, the second row, the same for our viewers, the same row where you have the 1.96. So to the right, you have 501 active fintech companies. Then you've got 729 microfinance bank licenses. The 311.6 million active bank accounts in Nigeria as of December 2024 versus 64.9 million BVNs. Yeah. Is that a mismatch, or, because I know your report already talks about how Nigerians have multiple accounts. Any cause for concern, or because we have multiple accounts, that's fine?
Yeah, it's not a mismatch. So it's just a case of, it's just as we have people carrying multiple SIM cards, it's the same way. So you have multiple bank accounts. In case one bank is not doing you right, you just move to the next one. And then there are also cases whereby you are creating this account under obligation. You just join a new company and the company is saying, we have our own salary, the bank that we use for salary. So irrespective of whether you have a bank account before, you create a new one and all that. So.
And that's actually happened to everybody. Has a testament to that, right? So when you join a new company and they tell you, okay, this is if you want to get your salary, you must open an account
with this bank. So,
your next number of findings. Let's switch to the next figures here. Some more key findings. You have some percentages here where you talk about the number of people that have mobile money accounts and the likes. 80.8% share of people with at least 2 bank accounts. You've got 80.8% of share of people with at least 2 bank accounts or Momo accounts. Then you've got 96.4% share of people with bank or mobile money accounts. These figures are encouraging, but is there an urban bias to those figures?
So there's definitely, which is why, so people in the rural area, there is the education part on their part, because they don't know that they can walk up to an agency banking person and open a bank account with them.
Okay.
So it's mostly I have to go to a bank to do that, and then for them to go to a bank, they're probably going to spend more than 8,000 to access the nearest bank with them. So
that's transportation costs,
yeah,
right?
Transportation costs. So it boils down to, yes, I don't know that I can do this with just the PS guy that is down my street. So I'm thinking I have to go all the way down somewhere else to go and do that. So there is that bias to say, yes, we have mostly people with bank account concentrated in the urban area and cities.
So there's more to be done on the rural side.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move on to the demographic points. There's two data points here. So this is one. This is one chart where you're showing more men have access to finance than women. Pretty obvious, right? But then there's the youth demographic that we talk about all the time. So your report has pointed out, of course, Nigeria, mostly young people, 15. Right. Now, next to that, there's how many of these people are educated and how many of them have jobs, right? So top line, yeah, self-employed 35.2%. So here's my question. If you have a country like in Nigeria where majority of the population are young people, and with this data here, mostly educated, mostly self-employed, well, shouldn't you have higher access to finance if that's the case? Because young people are more digitally enabled and they're working for themselves.
Yes, so there is that, and there's also the part of the limit to financial services on these people, despite the fact that they are employed and they are self-employed. So I was on a space last week, and
that's Twitter space.
Yeah,
right?
Twitter space.
It's so funny how people now say space and they just, the lingo has changed. But yeah, go ahead.
I was Twitter space, and then there was this entrepreneur that said he's been in business for 17 years, and it's difficult for him to access credit, despite having a relationship with the bank that long. They see the fact that, yes, to access it, it has to go through a lot of orders and all that. So they see that, yes, you have a lot of people that are self-employed, but then that doesn't really translate to them accessing
credit, right.
Accessing credit, for instance, or any other financial services.
Thanks for mentioning that, because as the report points out, access to finance or being financially included is not just about having a bank account.
It goes
way beyond that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, this I think is you've mentioned this already, the proximity to people, right? So you've got this here, 90% say there's a bank close by, and then you've got 72.4% saying that 27.6 says no bank close by. Let's skip to the second one, the second slide here. Banking facilities in terms of location. Now you talked about this, right? The main takeaway from here is what? That there's still too much of a distance between these institutions and people.
So you still have to have people that still have to. So we have about 88% of people still have to take a transport.
Yeah.
To go to the closest financial services, which make these other guys like PSB, agency banking guys, to fill the gap. But that's really not the case. PSB, I think that's payment service.
Thank you.
Payment service bank.
Yeah.
So I think part of the regulatory framework is supposed to have this 20 to 80 ratio. 20% of their access points should be in rural area, I believe, and then 18. But then that's not the case. One, they came into the party late.
Right.
But then there's still the fact that when the regulatory framework was released back then, I wrote an article about the fact that, yes, they came to the party late, and then there is no much incentive for them to really go the length because there are limits to the kind of services they can offer people.
Yeah.
So there's that. So it's supposed to, like, the banks, you have the banks here, then you have the PSB, and then you have the agency banking to now go to where, but it's really not the case. But then definitely we need more access points. Okay, and I should be careful asking this, right? Not to make assumptions as if I live in a bubble. Shouldn't digital services make up that gap where you don't have to walk into a bank or get credits? It does.
Okay.
So digital service make up for that, but then it's when you are already in the banking system.
Right.
But before you get into the banking system, take BVN for instance. Now, to get a BVN, you have to walk into a physical branch of a commercial bank.
Right. For security purposes and
all that. But then, let's say microfinance banks are empowered to do that. My hometown has a microfinance bank. Like, nearby hometown also a microfinance bank. So imagine if they're empowered. So that means more people can register. So you don't have to travel miles or kilometers to get to the nearest commercial bank branch to do that. So, but then if you are already in the banking system, you already have a bank account, you already have BVN, let's just open my app and get investments. Open my app, buy insurance. Open my app, buy any other financial services. Technology, fintechs are making that possible, but getting into
that initial starting point,
like getting into the financial system in the first place,
shouldn't. Well, Look, if you already, so this is where the SIM card stuff comes in, right? If you are already a customer of a telecommunications firm, I mean, if you have a front, again, let me not sound like an elitist within a bubble here. If you have a front-facing camera on your phone,
Yes.
you should be able to take a picture, send that to the bank, and they verify it through the telco that this is Yinka and give him a BVN.
So we've done a lot of data collection over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, governments now.
Yeah.
So you have the BVN, you have the NIN, and all of them seems not to be communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So imagine, NIN has a higher number than BVN. But then, why not? If I have my NIN, why can't I just register? And I just put on some framework in place to guide people from multiple registration and all that, but that's really not the case. To do that, so if you create an account from your mobile phone, there's a limit to what you can do with that kind of account.
Right.
There's a limit to the amount you can receive. There's a limit to the amount you can send and all that. So there's still that, yes, technology can play a role, but as it is now in Nigeria, you have to get into the financial system first before technology will now, then enable you to access other financial services.
For the record, I hate going into banks. I just prefer. I don't want to step into a single bank. I just want to do everything on my phone. But
you hate going to banks. Just points to one of the insights in the report that people with bank close by still prefer to go to BOS. I have a bank close by, but I still prefer to walk up to the guy under an umbrella.
Just get the money and just go.
For people, it's probably faster. Yes, it's more expensive, but then it's faster.
Right.
Rather than queue at the ATM or just walk into the banking
and then
hall
wait, who is next? This and that, you're in line. People are, technology solves all these things. Yinka, broadband penetration in Nigeria is under 50%, right? We took this data from the NCC, right? This is going back to February of 2024. So you can see the dip, and then 45.61, as of January of this year. My question
is debatable, by the way.
Right, exactly.
That's
right. I know that's another discussion. But we'll just take what the NCC Communications Commission has given us, right? Yinka, is the access to finance discussion a shared responsibility between governments and the private sector? That's the reason why I'm bringing up broadband, is because it has so many implications for telcos, hospitals, banking, and so on and so forth. Reading your report, what's the action you want taken? Who shares this responsibility?
So it's a shared responsibility between the private sector as well as the government. But then the government needs to play its role in terms of making sure that the right policies and frameworks are in place. So if there is no framework for the private sector to play with, so it's just going to be a free-for-all. And then when regulation comes up, it might be a case of running around and all that. So there's definitely a synergy between the private sector as well as the government. But then the government needs to put the right frameworks in place. And then, say one thing that the government can do is just the report says there are more women without bank accounts
than men.
So that means making sure that you have policies in place that encourages. So there are women that are in the informal banking sector or formal sector that are not that formal, say cooperative society, for instance. But there are more of them there. But then there's a limit to the kind of services, credit services they can get with those. But then bringing them into the formal financial fold means they have a lot more that they can access to.
Look, great reports. Well done to you guys at Intelpoint Finance in Africa for putting it there. I encourage everybody to download it. Very insightful. Yinka Awosanya, lead analyst, research analyst at Intelpoint. Thanks so much for your time.